Hey, welcome back to the Splinter Twins. I'm Kyle, that's Mark, and it is spoiler season review time. We got new Magic cards coming out.
Oh god, I love new Magic cards, and I love it when they're
No, Mark,
spooky.
these are scary Magic cards.
These are scary Magic cards. Someone pointed out, what a 180. Cute little animals to, I'm gonna eat your fucking skin. Like, this is... The flavor text goes hard in this set, and we go hard on these evaluations. We take this absolutely seriously, so like most people, we're gonna give you our top 10 list, and I think we've got some interesting picks here. But we're also going to hold each other accountable, because nothing is better than giving your own flesh and blood the absolute guff. Kyle, you're going to get the absolute guff when I take you to task, and you me, for our Bloomberry pick. So stay to the end of the video, and we'll see how we're doing on the current meta, so you can see if you should believe anything we say at all about these cards. But man, regardless of whether these cards are meta-defining or cracked in half, I'm looking forward to it, man. This looks like a good set.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, each of us is going to go over our top 5. We do not know what the other one's going to pick. And if you guys
I know you're going to pick bad cards. I do know that.
No. And if you want the fun cards, stay tuned on this channel. Probably like in a couple days or whatever, we'll have the same process. But for the cards we're most looking forward to, the fun cards. But what we are trying to do in this list is pick the cards that we think are going to define the meta moving forward after Duskmourn releases.
Let's get right into it. My number 5 is a bit of a dare. I think this card could either be just okay, value engine, or it could be absolutely cracked in half. Kona, Rescue Beastie, coming at you right here. This card, read it there on the screen. Oh dear God, Kyle. I know people look at this and they think, are you just gonna like crew a vehicle and play an Atraxa on maybe turn 3 post Llanowar Elves that's gonna be in standard in a month, or pick your ramp? Maybe. Maybe you will do that. Maybe you will play a Vault-Born Tyrant. But I don't think... Everyone's like, well, what if you don't have it in your hand? It doesn't matter. It says any permanent. Any permanent. You have a 3-drop? You got a 4-drop? Play it! And then it's just value. Just disgusting, ungodly value coming off this card. And there's not just vehicles, Kyle. May I remind you of... I pulled up the little mount deck here. An Onry Tumblewag? How about that on turn 3? Plop this boy down. That's it, man. That thing is value city after that. It is, and we'll talk about another card here. I think it might be on your list too. There's some vehicles in this set that are looking pretty tasty. I don't see how this card is not a good card.
It is a good card. I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think it's a consistent card, so it didn't make my list. But there is no doubt, and vehicles and mounts are the way you crack this card, because it does have to survive combat. But you can, and obviously it has summoning sickness, but it doesn't have to attack. It has to be tapped. And you exactly said it. There is some absolute disgusting shit you can do with this card. Yeah. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be fun, but I do not think it's going to be consistent.
So the thing is, right, you need your vehicle, but again, let's just say, I mean, you're playing this on turn 4, worst case scenario. Let's say you get it on turn 4, but you easily could, we're not even going to count the ramp, right? Let's say the Llanowar Elves or whatever. I'm swinging this into you, even I'm on the draw. I'm swinging this into your Shieldred. Okay, I still got value. Like, yeah. And that's assuming I don't have a combat trick as well, which, I'm playing mono green maybe. Maybe I do have the Overrun. Or Overprotect. It's like, I don't think it's Christmas land here. There's combos and crazy shit you can do, but I think this is just like straight up value, and I'm so excited to play this card.
You thought your number 5 was a flyer? Check out my number 5. It's Arabella, Abandoned Doll. A Boros uncommon. It is a red and a white for a legendary artifact creature toy, and whenever Arabella attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with 2 power or less. Hey, Mark, you know what's really good in Standard right now? Tokens.
Yeah.
Like, it's also got like a decent little booty on it with 1/3, but I can definitely see a world where this is a must kill. In a Caretaker's Talent deck, in a deck that is already playing a bunch of ways to make tokens, even if this is just doing like, okay, you have this plus 2 other creatures on the board, every time this swings, it's a Lightning Helix? Like, come on, man. That's cracked. That's good.
Pretty good. People have been obviously saying Delny's name quite a bit with this card to double up the triggers. My ladder deck right now is Boros Tokens. I think it's for one, I just hate mono red, so being able to win most of those games is fun.
Annie joins up. Doesn't that double legendary triggers?
I think it's Annie joins up, but you'd have to play 3 colors to get that in there.
Yeah, I'm just saying. There's a
You have
lot
to
of
throw
stuff you
green
can
on.
do, but just in straight Boros. Just in straight Boros.
Yeah.
Like, again, this plus like a carrot cake the turn before it or after it. No, like those creatures don't have to attack. This just has to attack. So on turn 2, you throw this down, or turn 2, you throw this down. Turn 3, you throw hop to it down, and all of a sudden you're swinging in for 4, draining them, hitting them for 5, and gaining 4. Like, dude, that's a lot for a
Yeah,
2-drop. For a 2-drop.
I think that's the key. It's a 2-drop. I don't like that it's legendary. That kind of sucks. Just because
It would
it's
have
gonna
to
die
be.
in
Good God.
Oh yeah,
If you could
I think
copy this thing.
it does. It does need to be that. But I think it's a really interesting card that's going to be able to. I love cards like this because it's kind of a build around. Like we're seeing the pieces come together in this set and with some previous sets about that sub 2 power theme. And this looks to be like maybe the payoff that's going to actually be able to push that into being a legit deck. Is it A tier? Is it S tier? Right? Is it even playable? I'm not sure, but if it is, it's probably going to be because of Arabella. And because of your scary little shenanigans, that's why my number 4 is the best reprint of the set. Pyroclasm is back, y'all. This card is nasty. Absolutely nasty. Not just because if you ever had the misfortune of playing against this card in the past, you know how good it is, even though it seems so innocuous. Do you guys remember in the festivities, 1 red mana for 1 damage, and how that would just gank people? It would just mess up all your plans. Well, how about 2 for 2? It's going to absolutely be this is a little bit different. Like, I don't think it's like a best of 1 slammer. This is a real Magic card that belongs in like best of 3 sideboards, and depending on how much Boros tokens remains a thing, main deck playable. Maybe you throw 2 in here, 2 on the sideboard. This card absolutely is ready to go, not just because it's a great card in general, but in this particular meta, I think this card's ready to play.
Yeah, the only thing I think that holds Pyroclasm back is sorcery speed, and it doesn't hit planeswalkers. Like, if it was 2 damage to all creatures and planeswalkers, that is enough of an advantage, because it is nice to have that flexibility to be able to hit planeswalkers in decks that don't really play a lot of creatures. I think it's good, and I think you're right, but I think that when you're trying to pick the meta-defining cards in the set, I think what you've got here is like at best a sideboard card in a lot of best of 3 decks, or even some best of 3 decks.
Well,
I don't think this is ever going to be meta defining.
I think I'm taking, if I had access to this card right now in that aforementioned Boros tokens deck, I'm taking out my temporary lockdowns and slotting these in. For one, it's easier to cast. I don't have double pips for this or Brotherhood's End, right? It's cheaper, right? So I can get it off faster, and this cleans up. I mean, if I 2 for 1 mono red, right? I take out your Monastery Swift Spear and your Slick Shot. Like, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, but temporary lockdown doesn't hit those die triggers.
Yeah, so it's not as good for like, the Challenger, not Challenger, the other little mouse.
Yeah.
Is here. I put him right here. This little dumbass. It's not as good for that. That's true, but
Or the little goblin.
It doesn't get broken, and as we see, there's more incidental enchantment hate just living in this meta. The more sets we add, that people are just going to be able to instantly play that, and that's really good to have that back. I just think this has, especially like on the sideboard, yes, I agree with you for best of 3, but specifically in Arena and best of 1, I think it is tailor-made to hate on mono red and hate on Boros tokens, and just because of that, I think it's an easy include in 2 of when people are playing like a red deck or any kind of red deck that has a control element to it.
My number 4, not a reprint, not necessarily strictly better, but it is very familiar. It is Unidentified Hover Ship. 1 white, artifact vehicle with flying. When it enters, you get to exile up to 1 target creature with 5 toughness or less, and then when it leaves the battlefield, the exile card owner's manifest dread, which, if you don't know, they look at the top 2 cards of the library, they can put one face down on table. It's like a 2/2 horror, and you can flip it face up if it's a creature for its mana cost. Crew 1. This card is the business.
Yeah. The comparisons to Skyclave Apparition do not go unnoticed here. If you didn't have the misfortune of playing against that in Zendikar Rising, an absolute staple of so many white decks. It is incredible, and I think in some ways, like Manifest Dread is better than the token they got, so that's true. But there's a little key here. It's a vehicle, Kyle. It's sweeper proof.
Or the Manifest Dread might be worse. It might not be. It kind of depends. You're playing a little Russian roulette.
True.
Like, obviously, like, you could let the Manifest Dread into, like, a key creature that's an answer. Or it might be an instant, a sorcery, or nothing. It might be 2 basic lands on top. So there's definitely some of that. But just being able to get them and get that threat out of the way. Get that Sheoldred off the table. Get that whatever you want. Now, it doesn't hit literally everything, but 5 toughness or less for 3 mana, pretty great. It also has some evasion on it. Pretty good.
Yeah, this is my number 3 card. I'll just go ahead and tell you that right now. And I think it does say 5 or less toughness, but like that's your Sheoldreds, that's like your Bizas. I'm trying to think of like big butted creatures that were out there. Like it doesn't hit a Vaultborn Tyrant, those kind of things, but like what does? You know, there's not a lot. And considering how important it is when you fiend hunt something and you don't give it back, like that is rare. And we have seen in the past when you do that, yeah, they're going to get a little bit of value. That's White's removal deal, but this is so crazy. And not for nothing, you know, it flies. The board's gummed up, like we're going to get him for 2. I mean, that's value. That's value on top of something that Skyclave Apparition never had, right? I really think not being able to get hit by sweepers or sorcery speed removal is like really powerful. The sorcery speed that only targets creatures. So this is why it's my number 3. I think this is an absolute banger of a card, and also like lays a little flavor for outer space sets, you know, in the future. So that's kind of cool as well. I got this confused with Fear of Abduction, which is a butt card, but that's like got the big dumb alien head on it. Yeah, this is the real alien hotness.
Well, my number 3 card is nasty. Obviously there's a risk to this card, but if you can enable it, it is on par with one of the best versatile removal pieces of all time, and it's Drag to the Roots. 2 black and a green. Delirium. This spell costs 2 less. As long as there are 4 or more card types in your graveyard, it is an instant, and the text line says what you want the text line to say, which is destroy non-land permanent.
Point click.
Oh my god. Like, no, you're not going to get to fetch a land for this. You're just going to lose that Portal to Phyrexia. You're just going to lose that Atraxa. You're going to lose whatever it is I want you to lose, because I can, with this card at instant speed for a black and a green, destroy any target non-land permanent. Yeah. Disgusting. And it's also like, if you don't have Delirium, not like this card is a blank, like it is still a 4 mana answer any threat on the board. Like, obviously the value of it goes way up if you enable it. But I don't think in a green-black card, especially a lot of the green-black shells that we have going right now, not going to be that hard.
Yeah, it's tight. It's really tight to fit into Golgari right now. I was just cruising on some of the MTG Melee results. It's a real deck, man. Like, there's a lot of really good cards in there. And not for nothing, like, the creature stuff is really packed in, but also so are the spells. Like, there's a lot of really powerful stuff in here. But I do think this has a home because, like you said, people are playing Assassin's Trophy right now in Standard because there's just some things where you're like, I kill your Atraxa. Okay, it's die and you get a land, whatever. I kill your Vaultborn Tyrant. You know, like, there's just things you have to be able to answer. And Assassin's Trophy does it. But I think this does it better. I really do think this might just completely usurp that card for the reasons you just said. Now, depending on what your Golgari situation is, right? Like, getting Delirium situation. It's not inconsequential. You know, like, you're not going to have this up on turn 2, and that's a real problem. So, like, you're probably going to have to... if you only have room in your Golgari deck for, like, 4, 5 removal cards, you know, you're already playing Cut Down, you're already playing Go for the Throat, maybe a little mix of Shoot the Sheriff in there. Does this have a home? You know, like, not being able to pull the trigger on 2 is going to really hurt. And so I think this card is amazing, but like it has to be it's got to be in Golgari, and it's got to be in the right Golgari with a little bit of self-mill and a little bit of like mid-game to long range.
Insidious Roots, here we come.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, kinda. It's tailor-made for that deck. My number 2 card, I had to make a choice here, and I really struggled. I went back and forth on it. It's a black card, and it's really good, but you know what? Sometimes the sequel just isn't as good as the original, so I'm not going with the Meat Hook Massacre 2. I really love this card. I think it's very powerful, but I do think it's too slow. I really think it's too slow. Maybe I'll get got by this. The scalability is wonderful. There's lots of stuff. I do think them being able to just take 3 and not get the card, like,
so
that's
what
kind
card
of a
did you
problem.
pick?
I just wanted to talk about the Meat Hook Massacre 2 because I do think it's a good card, but I think it's a bit of a meme. Maybe I'll be wrong. The card I picked is Unholy Annex / Ritual Chamber. I think this card's incredible. I really do. Like, people kind of sparingly play Phyrexia in Arena right now. Do you just want it a turn sooner? Do you just want that? Do I want the card right now on my instep? You can have it. The demon thing is there as well. That's incredible just to be able to have that card a turn sooner. So like, yes, obviously it's not going to matter if you play this on curve, but it's really going to matter if you play it on like 5. You drop this thing down, now you've got counterspell magic up, or you got removal up. Like, let's go. That's incredible. That's so much better than waiting a full turn. Taking turn 3 off is just like not really possible in today's standard. So if Phyrexian Arena, like, well, I'd see some play.
I mean,
it's
you
just not the
effectively
banger
take
it used
turn
to
3
be.
off. You're gonna draw a card, but like whatever.
Well, sorry, so take turn 3 off, but like if I take turn 5 off or whatever, it's like I'm not doing anything with my 3 mana now, and I'm gonna wait, right? So yeah, I could have it up, but like I'm being rewarded right now, and now is better than later. You know what I'm saying? But more importantly than Phyrexian Arena, and the reason why this card is so amazing is
Easier
there's
to
a
cast.
win con. It's true. It's easier to cast. There's a win con stapled to the back of it. Like, what was that Archon or Arc? You know that little 1/1 from like a few sets ago that like just turned into a demon or something? I can't remember the card. It's right here. It's this one. You'll
You mean
find
Evolve
it.
Sleeper?
No. The one that was like he was a little 1/1 dinky cleric man, and then he turned into a big old demon. I think it was like a 5/5 demon. We'll find him. He's right here. That inevitability was so powerful, and the fact that you're going to be able for 5 mana, which is above rate, get a flying 6/6 demon, kinda nuts. Like that's a 6/6 flyer for 5 mana. Like, am I missing something? Does it kill? No, it doesn't. It doesn't have any drawbacks. It's just a token that goes ham, just absolutely demon ham, and it's the same card. Like one card, inevitability plus win con. You don't have to like sacrifice the front of it. Like, what am I missing? Is this card not cracked in half?
It's very good. And the fact that if you have other demons in your deck, you're gaining 2 life instead. So like literally one turn of having a demon on the table completely negates 2 cards worth of draws. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I didn't even think about the life gain. Like, I'm just like fine with taking
Even
2.
even if it was like you have a demon or you lose the life, that would be good.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's like, nah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna fund you that life back.
Something
That's pretty good. That card,
Yeah.
it was kind of sneaking up in my fun list. I don't know. I'm not sure enough about that card to say for sure in my top 5, but I will not be surprised at all if that is one of the best cards coming out of Duskmourn.
Yeah,
it is
I think this is a
very high
impact
potential
player.
card.
Impact player for sure.
Ready to shoot your shot, Mark? You ready to get like you? I bet
We
you
have
you
the
don't
same
know.
number 1. It's
I
fine.
bet you don't know what my number 2 is.
Oh, okay. I got nothing. What is it?
It is Inquisitive Glimmer.
Yeah.
Do you know? I was gonna say, do you know what that card does?
I do know what it is. It's pretty good.
Azorius. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and unlocks cost 1 less. Unlocks, we'll see, maybe whatever. It is a 2/3 enchantment creature, Fox Glimmer. Yo, this card is the key to Azorius enchantments, or maybe even 3-color enchantments. There are a lot of enchantments in this deck. Also, there's this insane, like, all that glitters or whatever that gives you, like, first strike.
Armor or whatever.
Yeah, ethereal armor. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit, I'm going to build this deck so hard.
Wait,
The
what'd
point
you call
is,
it?
though...
Ethereal armor? Ethereal armor?
Yeah, whatever. Mithril. The point is, the comp here is Jeskai Naturalist, right? A lot of people think the thing that made that deck great was Kami of Transience, or...
Which we kind of have, again.
Yeah.
We've got a blue version of that.
Yeah, or the... Curious... Generous Visitor, or whatever his name was.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about, sorry.
Those cards were great, but the thing
not
that really made that deck hum was Jeskai Naturalist, because getting things cheaper in Magic is the secret to winning in Magic. Like,
Kinda.
that, like... But basically, like, one of the best things you can do is draw cards, and the next thing you can do is cheat mana costs,
Yeah.
and this card allows you to do it. Not a legendary,
I'd put multiple turns over all that, but then
Yeah.
agree in that
but
order.
it looks like Wizards may have learned their lesson there.
Maybe.
Yeah. We haven't seen one in a minute, but the fact that you can get this card down, and then turn 3, you can double spell into 2 more 2-drops, or you can get a 4-drop down. That is what makes this deck type possible. I am here to say I am betting my number 2 pick that Inquisitive Glimmer at Uncommon is the card that is going to allow a new deck to be unlocked.
Yes.
Like, Azorius Enchantments does not exist right now. This card will make it exist.
I think between that, we've got the replacement for Generous Visitor. We've got Essence Tracker. It's on my face. It's right here. That card as well is kind of cracked. Like, we've got card draw, we've got +1/+1 counters. We're kind of reassembling the team here in a different color combination. So instead of Selesnya, it's Azorius, but hell, maybe we'll splash green and go ban enchantments. I think enchantments decks are back. Like, they've clearly pushed it with the Eerie,
Also,
with everything here.
Like, we got 3 more years of enchantment cards coming down the pike. Like, I think right now the pieces, like, this may be the very first deck that I make for the channel when Duskmourn comes out. Honestly, if I'm being honest, it's probably going to be Rooms because goddamn do I love an alternate win con. But regardless, this deck, I think, has a lot of time to grow and become better. And this card's not going anywhere. There's no way this card's catching a ban. And it is the quiet, non-obvious enabler for a lot of greatness.
Hey, Kyle. How's your grass looking?
Fucking what? I'm so mad about this.
You live in Las Vegas. You ain't got no grass. Well, it's too bad. If you had any, it's gone. Head Shredder is dumb.
Okay, we do not have the same number 1.
That's wild. This card is not in your top 5. This card is a silly Billy card. Let me tell you in all the ways. Let me extol the virtue of Head Shredder, and that way you can come back in 3 months or whatever and say I'm a dumb little Billy goat. That's what you could say for not putting this card in your top 5. Are you high on cocaine? Is that what's happening right now?
How do you spell
That's gonna
it?
be great for the algorithm. Hedge Shredder. Put some respect. Hedge Shredder. It's the best card in Standard. Learn its name. Put some respect on it. I'm obviously overextending myself because this card is silly.
Oh, it's a very good card. It's a very good card.
Silly card.
Uh-oh.
So
Evelyn's coming in.
Oh, she knows. She heard me say Head Shredder.
Yeah, Head Shredder is very good. I'm going to be honest with you. This probably should have been my top 5. I forgot about it. But my number 1 card is way better than this.
Okay, we'll see. But the reason why... Let me just tell you a couple of pieces of tech here about why I think this card is so amazing. The big thing is, yes, obviously it kind of enables itself because it's going to mill, and then you're going to be able to ramp off the mill. But the really important thing about this card that I don't think enough people are talking about is that second sentence there. It doesn't say Head Shredder has to flip him into the graveyard. Anything flipping him into the graveyard is going to get you those lands. So if you enable this even a little bit, it's just extra value. But literally, this card could say nothing else other than like a 4-mana 5/5 for Crew 1 vehicle, and it would still be a pretty good card because what mono green right now is suffering from is that nasty Sunfall. Boo, we hate you, Sunfall. Oh, I got you down to 4, but then you Sunfalled me and I lose. I cannot recover. This card says, get wrecked. And I know it did this intentionally because of Crew 1. As long as you have a creature in your hand, you're going to put it down on the battlefield, slam them for 5 after the sweeper, and say, GG's. Because if you're mono green, you couldn't do 15 damage in 5 turns. Yeah, you probably weren't going to win anyway. This is a wonderful card. Everything else on it is just absolute gravy. This is the tech. This is the hope and the dream for mono green. I love it. I love this card.
You are
going to
an
kiss it
absolute
on the
stand
mouth.
for mono green. The
One day,
things that are
Kyle.
working for this card are very aggressively costed at 2 green and Crew 1. Like, if it was Crew 3 and 5 mana, I'd be like, bleh. But those things do matter a lot, especially on a vehicle. And I think you're right. I think this is a very good card. The thing I think that's holding it back is this has got to put the entire team on its back. I don't know, man.
Your roots? How about your Insidious Roots?
Could be.
Pretty good for that too. I think there's some.
This definitely goes in the old Drag to the Roots deck.
Yeah, I think there's some silly enabling stuff you can do with this because of the self mill. Like, let's not be glib about the power of repeatable mill. Like, that's good. You know, it's like cantrip mill. Like, that's pretty good actually. But then just them stats,
it also goes really good
stats.
with your freaking beastie at the beginning.
Yeah, it sure does. Why not flop that boy down and crew it, and now we're cracking and going and Vaultborn Tyrant. I really do think this card is amazing. I expect it to be a staple.
Vaultborn Tyrant has doing something to your brain right now.
It's a good card. It's because I hate Atraxa so much. I don't want to play it. I won't play it. It's a stupid card, and I hope it gets banned. But until that beautiful day comes, Vaultborn Tyrant is my rant target. Because my old boyfriend, Titan of Industries, is no longer with us, so this is the new hotness. I'm into that.
Okay, look. Last time I said my number 1 is catching a ban. And I still
don't
think...
worry. The kids are going to find out what dumb shit you said
I still think that
before.
card is going to be very, very, very good. That card's time will come. However, my number one, which incidentally is also
Google this
a
piece of
2
shit.
red card, is catching a ban before the
Oh.
next set comes out.
I know
Holy
what you're gonna say.
shit. This card is like on day one this card is going to ruin Arena until they ban it. It is Leyline of Resonance. It is an enchantment.
Yeah.
It's a leyline, standard leyline text. If you start your game in with it in your hand or whatever, you can put it on the battlefield. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only one creature, you can copy that and you can choose new effects for the copy. That's a turn 2 kill in standard, son.
Well, that's not
It is
easy to set up.
It's a 3-card combo.
No, it's not. It's a
It's
4-card
the mouse.
combo.
It's the that's true technically. Yeah, counting leyline.
No,
It
well,
doesn't matter.
It's actually a 6-card combo, right? So you can't just mulligan to Tybalt with this because you have to have the 2 lands, you have to have the creature, and you have to have the 2 pump spells. Now, I'm not trivializing that because that is doable.
Okay. Like you don't have the freaking the sellsword or whatever. Okay, well I only took you to 6 on turn 2.
Turn 3, boo-hoo. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Not only is this card disgusting, like the fact that a turn 2 kill is possible is like the banner. The fact that mono red can mold a 5 cards and just absolutely house you with this over and over again, and the fact that like this card, like even if you cast it for free on turn 4, it's still disgusting, and it is for the deck that I would say right now is the biggest problem in standard without a doubt. I'm not here to say mono red pump spell is unbeatable. I'm here to tell you that it's good and it's super unfun to play. And when the game starts and they mold a 6 or whatever and they put this on the table, you're going to want to scoop. You're not going to want to play that game. It's going to suck. It's
Cool, you
just
win.
bad, unfun, brain dead ass Magic. And this card is not tech or interesting. It doesn't do anything. There's no strategy to it. It just sucks.
Oh, I got it in my hand. I guess I'll play it for free? Big brain shit. I do think you're right. I do think this is likely... I was thinking about this. Like, the last card to get banned, Meat Hook Massacre. It's been a minute. And I think that's not a surprise. We've seen an overall depowering of Standard that we asked for, that I fully endorse. I'm very happy about this. I know some of these cards are, like, hot, but, like, go back 2 years. It was dumb. There was some silly stuff
Shelter's
happening.
really good. Doesn't need to be banned.
No. But this card, I think, it might catch a ban out of more things than, certainly more than some of the other things, because of the unfun play pattern that it represents, the specific archetype that it supports, the whole pump, alpha strike, you're dead. It'll really be interesting to see just how consistent that is. I think that'll be the thing that catches the ban, because like it wasn't annoying playing against Tybalt's trickery in the ladder because people would do it and it would be really annoying. But they eventually realized that it just wasn't reliable enough and they were losing more games than they were winning, right? So they stopped. And this card does not come without a cost. 4 of these in your mono red deck, you are going to suffer when you rip this off the top deck and it's basically like a blank in your card when you really needed that land because you're hoping that hand smoother would save you, but you didn't draw the 3rd one. Or oopsie doopsie,
You don't need
they
a
just
3rd land in mono red.
they just got you with the cut down, and like that's kind of the game, and all you could do is draw a leyline binding and now you lose. Like, I'm not saying that that's always going to happen, but it will happen. And so the question is this a strategy? I don't think this is a strategy that wins you on turn 2 or 3. No one's saying this is going to win you 80% of the time. The question really is this a 60 or is this a 40? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that will be the difference between.
I'm not
here
to tell you this is also like not gonna. This is not gonna. I think it will show up in best of 3 tournament Magic because I think it's that powerful. I do.
Well, I'd say that. You know what? Actually, you're right, because I've been reviewing tournament decks to review our previous picks. Gruul Aggro was specifically with Emberheart Challenger and some other pieces a real competitive tournament deck right now. So like, while you might be sick of playing like the best of one like mono red version of this strategy is really hot right now in tournaments, and I think you could definitely find some room for some
and I don't think you're like, number one, like you don't want to play on this best of ladder while you're trying to like have fun and like chill. And number 2, I don't think people want their Pro Tour run ended because on the mold of 6 they happen to get the turn 2 kill and you didn't have turn 2 interaction because blah blah blah, and now you're just done. and no strategy, no magic was played. Like you could have played the entire game face up, and it was just over. That
Well,
shit
at that point,
sucks.
In I keep going back to Tybalt's trickery, but it is very much in the sense of like, and again, why I think it might actually catch a ban if it does is because it's kind of like you're playing a different
but
game.
Also with Tybalt's, if that thing didn't work, they lost the game.
Yeah, so it is more.
This is way better than that. This is way more consistent than that.
Yeah, that's true.
It might not be as powerful because you don't like turn 1 Ugin or whatever.
Yeah.
Or turn 2 Ugin, whatever it was. But like you don't lose the game. You can just keep playing. Like if I get you to on turn 2 and I can only squeak you down to like 5 life left, still pretty happy about that. Like you drop your 3-drop and say go. All right. Monastery Swiftspear attack. I'm gonna monstrous rage whichever one you don't block, and I'm gonna win that way.
That deck is tight though, like it's really hard. But I do think you're right because the problem with Tybalt's Trick is you're building your entire deck around this one plan. In this case, the only thing that's changing. You could literally take the deck today, whether that's the Gruul version or the Mono Red Ladder version. You're gonna have to make 4 painful cuts. 4 painful cuts.
Mono Red.
But then now you've got you've got supercharge. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I do think I certainly don't want this card to be in standard. Like straight off the top, if I could just be king of the world, I would delete this shit from existence because like I am already sick of this play pattern, this specific version of Mono Red. I don't like it, and the fact that they're gonna get a new toy just kind of makes me a little bit ill. A
free toy. Like that's the thing. The fact that this comes on a ley line, which is already like
I will say
aggravating as shit.
I'm going to kick a wall every time I see someone play this right out of their hand for free. Like, that is a feels bad situation. I think Wizards is advised to reduce as many of those feels bads. So, I don't know, man. I do think, like, every time you say your number one's going to catch a ban, I kind of roll my eyes a little bit.
This is the second time I've said it. And this time I mean it. So as you can see, we've got up on the screen, these are our OTJ picks. We've got them in the 5 categories: meta defining, good in multiple decks, see some play, edge cases, and LOL bad. What you can obviously tell from our OTJ picks is Mark is not good at picking cards. The only time he was right is when he agreed with me. He doesn't have a lot of space down there in LOL bad, but before we go and we rank our Bloomburrow picks, Mark, is there anything you think needs to come up or down from our OTJ picks? I think all my picks are fine. I don't think anything needs to go up or down on my side.
No, the only thing I'd say is that I think Final Showdown is still a hell of a card, but as long as Sunfall is in standard, it just can't.
Somebody cast it against me today, so
yeah, that. I mean, like, it's a very good card. I stand by that. That's not a bad read. Just on plain text, it's good, but obviously Sunfall. I will say, I will make a case, Smuggler's Surprise should go up to Edge Case, because it is actually featuring in some tournament decks, and it's legitimately a good Magic card. I would make a case for moving that to Edge.
All right. I concede. You can move Smuggler's Surprise out of the basement.
I will say it did. I've reviewed all the MTG Melee results for our Bloomburrow picks, and I'll say it is better or more represented than just about every of our Bloomburrow picks except for 2. So there's that. Now let us get into the judgment, Kyle. Kyle Lee, which is your actual middle name and hilarious.
It's true. Okay, Mark Raymond.
We're gonna do this from 5 to start, right?
Yeah. I'll start with my 5. Darkstar Augur. I think the line here is between Edge Case and LOL Bad. I still think Edge Case. I think Bats is a real ladder deck that is very good. And I don't mind if it's LOL Bad right now because I still think that text box is fucking insane. And Darkstar Augur will move up to see some play / good in multiple decks. It's very, very good card. So I don't mind if it's an LOL Bad right now, but I think it probably deserves to be in Edge Cases.
I think it could go in Edge Case. Again, it's appeared in 1 tournament deck in the last month. That's not the end-all be-all, obviously, but I do think it is actually represented in a real typal deck. It's Bob on Wings, so like how bad can this card be? People do play it, so it's not like it's a total whiff.
It's not like Ceramic Steed.
No, that's just that I think is an example of just that is along with like Fleeting Reflection is just I thought and I was wrong.
Yeah.
My number 5 was Scrap Shooter. I'm going to go ahead and say see some play. This card is featured in.
Oh, Mark! If only this was the competition to pick sideboard cards.
No, it's featured main deck in 4 tournament decks in the last month. It's a real card. It's overstated. It does enchantment hate. That's only getting better in this enchantment specific set. That's a real card that people really do play.
All right, I'll let you put it there. I would say begrudging edge cases, but that's fine. My number 4, I'm curious if you did an MTG melee search for that Essence Chandler. I think this card is still very good.
Same Bob deck.
Yeah, same
So,
Bob deck. So
I would put
I did the old fantasy football QB receiver stack here. Those cards are gonna go together. So really, wherever Dark Star Hugger goes, I would expect Essence Chandler to go. And that card is still, anybody that's cast that thing and started seeing it pop off, you're like, holy shit, this card's pretty good.
It's just hard for me to look at that and go, you're not Voice of the Blessed, you know? And you're a rare. Yuck. I just don't think the card is particularly good. I'll be honest with you.
I'm putting in edge cases because it goes with Bob.
Man, that inflation's pretty bad. Here's some honesty. Vine Reap Mentor. It's LOL bad. This card...
Yeah, probably.
No, it is LOL bad. It's only showed up in one tournament deck. But more importantly, it's not there yet. This card is just too edged out. The Golgari thing really hurts it. There's just so many good Golgari cards on either side of the of the Mana Carve.
You're number 2. Never mind. I got it backwards.
That's my number 4, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a really fire card all over the place. And I really think this one in the 2-drop slot specifically is edged out by Mosswood Dread Knight. Just because it turns out card draw is better than value.
You said Vine Reap Mentor, right?
Yes, Vine Reap Mentor.
Okay, I got it confused with your number 2.
Yeah,
Same acronym.
Mosswood Dread Knight. It turns out card draw is just better there. The value from the extra permanent just isn't quite there. I compared it to, I think, a really good card, Blood Tithe. The removal bit on that turns out was actually a really key part of the card.
Oh, did somebody say that to you, Mark?
No, I acknowledged that was true, but it's just one of those things where it's like you felt good, honestly, when someone used that on you because it's like, there goes your Blood Tithe Mentor, but like the optionality was actually pretty nice. Even though it was like hard to pull off, sorcery speed, it still does kind of transition that 3/2 up into more playable realms. And in a lot of ways, actually, the blood token was better than the food token. But, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll see something happen with Vine Reap Mentor. But for right now, it is LOL bad.
My number 3, I would submit to you, is our first ever pick that goes into the toppy top tier. Meta-defining, Emberheart Challenger. Turns out, that card fucks.
That does. With its little sword.
I might hate it, but you cannot argue that card is meta-defining. Nope. Holy crap.
It's cracked in 2 ways. For one, obviously we see it in the ladder on Best of 1. It is a present staple of the mono red deck. But again, reviewing the MTG tournament results, so like Best of 3 tournaments all over the place, incredibly well represented in mostly Gruul aggro, but like in a variety of different decks. This card just does kind of everything you want in that strategy. And as a result, like the one-shot Alpha Strike, pump, 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 I kill you decks are in fact meta-defining. People are packing more single-shot removal as a result, like people are building around this as a result. Yeah, I don't think there's an argument here. But let us know if we're giving ourselves too much credit for Emberheart Challenger. Flame us up in the comments. We'll take a look at it. But I think this is an easy meta defining.
Yeah, and if you're a mono red player, have somebody that knows how to read and write. Type the comment for you.
That's fair.
Or you can
get
just post emojis.
I assume you're 12, so get your parents to actually write it in for you.
Yeah.
Actually, get off YouTube. Go to sleep. Read a book. I'm about to come up, but I'm still in the swallows here. Long River's Pull. Yikes. LOL bad. It's a very good Magic card, but there's just better things to do on turn 2. It turns out it's just not quite there. There are more powerful things you can do. Actually, counter Magic is kind of down right now as a result. Like it's just not there. We've got a lot of things that are just like, hey, you can't counter me. Bombs that can't be countered. Soul Cavern out here just laughing at you and your counter spells. So like it's not really a counter spell meta right now. And this card being kind of difficult to cast, I think, is tricky. I think as mana bases get stronger, this and my number 1 pick will become a little bit more playable, but we'll see. I think it's a fine Magic card, but it is seeing no play.
Yeah, that's the kind of the same story with my number 2, Dazzling Denial. Even though Dazzling Denial, Mark, how many decks was it?
Shit.
How many decks was it represented?
1.
How many decks was Long River's Pull represented?
0.
The point is, I picked the better counter spell.
That's not true.
But it's LOL bad.
That card is going nowhere. Yeah, they're both bad. They're just both bad.
I still think Dazzling Denial will move up at least to edge cases. I don't think Long River's Pull will ever see the light of day.
We'll see. I still think before the end, Long River's Pull is going to be a better counterspell at the end of rotation.
What's your number dose?
My number dose is good in multiple decks. It's that Iridescent Vine Lasher. Man, this card's good.
I love that card.
It is obviously lovely in your crazy ass combo. Oops, I did a Aftermath Analyst Lumra, you're dead now decks. It's really good in those. But it turns out it's actually just a really fine scalable black 1-drop. So like you see this pop up in mono black, you see this pop up in a lot of just various black decks.
Lizards.
Hey, Lizards is a real deck, it turns out. Like I wouldn't say it's A tier.
I'd say it's a solid B tier deck.
I'd say it's a solid B tier deck. Like you can get some work done if you want to build a, go to Friday Night Magic and build like a paper Lizards deck on a relative budget. Like you can absolutely get after it, and this card is a big part of that. Like it is just a phenomenal Magic card. It's just obviously it's ping you every time I landfall, and I can make 2 of them for 3. Like it's just it's as good as we expected it to be.
My number 1 card, LOL bad, but it will be good one day. Sunspire Links.
Sit there and catch your beating now.
That card will be good. I said in the pick that this card's best time is ahead of it when the mana bases get full and they get greedy, and this card will punish it. But the limited mana base right now is punishing it. And
you said this card will be banned, is what you said.
I do think it still could catch a ban.
Here,
I do.
Where's my bowl? Can you eat your words?
I think that's like gone down
Can you
from
eat
like
them? Eat them, Kyle. Eat your words.
A likely
eat your
probability
words.
to like possible. I think it's possible, but I still think this card is going to be very good when number 1, like the mana bases get greedier, and number 2, the mono red deck just doesn't want to play this right now. But like dude, there like when we were playing like at the before Bloomburrow came out and people had like 1 basic island in their deck, this card would be doing like 10 damage to them. This card is going to be good.
You haven't factored in the inevitable result when the card fairy comes and takes all the other Magic cards away, and this is the one Magic card left, and I think everyone will play this card. You fucking moron.
This card's going to be good.
It's so bad.
Oh, Mark, what was your number 1? What did you pick in your infinite fucking wisdom?
Hold on. I want to buy back a little bit of that before I get to my bad pick. I do think, like, I hear talks of Big Red being a deck, actually maybe post Duskmourn. I'm certainly going to build it. I love Big Red. It's a mono red deck that I really love. And this card, I think, is great in that, right? Just, like, no incidental life gain for you. It's a big threat that can go and attack you. I love Sunspire Links. I just certainly don't think it's ever going to get banned. That's just never going to happen. But now it is my turn to eat that crow. Parting Gust. Kyle, LOL bad. Why isn't this card good? Like, I know
too
it's
hard
too
to cast,
white
and the
pips.
gift is a real consequence.
But it's so good. This card is amazing.
No.
This card's good. I see people playing Soul Partition. I do think this card's just better. Like, just play this card. I just like Long River's Pull, but more than Long River's Pull. I think when the mana bases, we're getting some just the real number 1 for our actual previous picks is the freaking dual lands. Like,
yeah,
maybe the best dual lands ever printed coming up.
They're very good.
Like, get incredible. Those come into standard. Maybe a couple more things come into standard. Yeah, your Sunspine Links is going to get better, but also things like with double white pips on turn 2, like, no problem. We're untapped. We're ready to fire. And this, I think, like, I'd still feel bad when I give people 2 map tokens after I tell them to get lost. It's not a good feeling. And I think this gift is better than those 2 map tokens. Sorry, worse than those 2 map tokens. I really think this card has some days ahead of it. It is LOL bad for right now. But
I think it'll be
I haven't given up.
I think
on
it will.
I think this could get to see some play. That's my new expectation for this card. I never thought it would be meta defining. I was hoping it would be on par with like a Shoot the Sheriff in terms of it just being an auto include removal. Maybe it won't get that far, but we'll see.
All right, well, let us know what you think. What do you think about our Duskmourn picks? How do you think we did on our evaluation? Mark, I'm just happy and hyped to talk about new cards. If you guys want to see us build these good cards into decks, make sure you subscribe and like to the channel. And be looking forward to our most fun decks where Mark and I let out our inner Jank Lords on the Duskmourn set.
Can I complain about some stuff? Can I complain about some flavor real quick? I don't like the Ghostbuster stuff, man. Like the weird Stranger Thing energy.
They just like almost did it for the horror.
They just
and then
almost
they
did it. You know, the flavor text goes hard. The art goes incredible. All the spooky stuff.
And they were like,
being
but
trapped in an
Stranger Things. Come on, Wizards.
Infinite haunted house. Yeah, like it was just kind of like a bit of a flavor fumble there. But I'm really hyped for this set. So stick around, guys. It's going to be a spooky Halloween. We're going to have lots of fun with this set. And yeah, let us know. We'll see you soon. Magic's fun, everybody. We'll get you in the next one.